Good evening and welcome to the 6:30 RBN News. I am Avalon Francois. In the headlines, Adventist pastor says carnival is madness. Timkey to resign. Imperial Plaza up in flames, 35 stores consumed by fire. Pope Francis and Patriarch Kirill in historic meeting in Havana. And in international news, mother and son pedal 1,000 kilometers for Adra. Now for the news in detail. Hundreds of Seventh-day Adventists of all ages marched along the streets of Arima from various locations to gather at the Larry Gomes Stadium for a morality and temperance rally yesterday afternoon, at which the pastor declared carnival is madness. What happens at carnival, the lewdness and immorality, cannot be God's will. I declare that carnival is madness. There can be no justification for people dressing and acting like that, declared Pastor Leslie Moses, president of the South Caribbean Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Moses reported that members from about 160 churches throughout the country converged in Arima for the event. We have more on this report. This march is to affirm heterosexual marriage and the family. We are also marching against any activity that is not in keeping with the Word of God, intemperate living, including murder, crime, adultery, drug abuse, and child abuse, he said. Moses said globally the church had always promoted healthy living and family life. However, yesterday, the aim was to sensitize the national community to the need for affirming the traditional views espoused by the Bible, as they believed the Bible's teachings was best for the human race. He explained the theme of heterosexual marriage was chosen because of the global issues involved in moving away from the biblical standard, especially in the United States, which legalized gay marriage in June 2015. We know that the United States is a significant country in relation to the values of the world. However, even though the U.S. Supreme Court voted in favor of gay marriage, that does not change God's mind, nor would it change our mind, he said. He believed people could do as they wish in private, but laws should not be changed to accommodate that minority group. Moses noted that because the church was against intemperate living, its members distanced itself from the carnival completely. He said if persons danced on the streets half naked on another day, onlookers would say they were crazy. They say it's culture, but it has to be that the will and the word of God should be there above the culture to guide it, he concluded. At the rally at Larry Gomes Stadium, the marchers were met by many more church members waiting for the program to begin. In the special address, Pastor Steve Riley emphasized the church's position of heterosexual marriage and the need to remain sexually pure. Now on to some other news. His decision comes one day after scores of concerned citizens and human rights activists staged a protest at Woodford Square in Port-au-Spain, calling for him to resign over comments he made on the discovery of Japanese panist Asami Nagakia's body at the Queen's Park Savannah on Wednesday. In a statement issued Saturday on the Port-au-Spain City Corporation letterhead, Timke stated that he noted the continued outrage and hurt over statements attributed to him. He said he deeply regretted the consequences of the statements and apologized unreservedly to those who had been affected. On Wednesday, during a news conference at City Hall, the mayor was questioned about the discovery of an unidentified female masquerader. Later that night, she was identified by police as Nagakia. Timke's response to reporters at the news conference was that women did not need to behave in a vulgar and lewd manner to enjoy themselves during Carnival. He said, "I spoke of some of the things that I see women do, assisted by men of course, but the woman has the responsibility that they ensure that they are not abused. You can enjoy Carnival without going through that routine." Timke added that women needed to maintain a level of dignity during Carnival festivities. Following his statements, which created outrage on social media and among different civil society groups, Timke issued a statement on Thursday apologizing, saying his statements were taken out of context. But it's not the first time the mayor has made such remarks about women's behavior during Carnival. In 2014, speaking to reporters at the downtown Carnival judging point in South Key, the mayor said, "I see some women do some things with some men. Nothing for the imagination. You can't do that." He said he felt that some of the costumes he had seen then were unacceptable, almost like a beach party on the street. Let's listen to this clip with Mr. Timke.
My comment is provoked by what I heard of the news this morning. And you know, before Carnival, I did make a comment about vulgarity and lewdness in conduct. And you know, some question was asked by one of the smart media people when I spoke of some of the things that I see women do, assisted by men, of course. But the woman has the responsibility to ensure that they are not abused. I call it abuse that way. And my argument was, you could enjoy Carnival without going through that routine. Okay? They do all sorts of things. And I threw back a question. During the day of prancing and partying, how many times would they go through those routines? Is it the majority of the times or fewer times than the majority? And it's fewer. So I asked, what are the other times when they're not doing it? Are they enjoying themselves? Yes. Well, then why you can't continue with that and maintain a certain kind of dignity? Right? Now, when I heard that news this morning, I know there are tourists who would come here, who are strangers here, and may not be aware of all the risks of doing certain things. In the Savannah, how about your song, right? Is it the Savannah? Somewhere by the Savannah, right? So then you have to let the imagination roll a bit and figure out, was there any evidence of resistance? Or did alcohol control and therefore involuntary actions were engaged in and so on? There are several things you have to do. But I'm simply saying that our Carnival does not need that. And I could well imagine what would be said by the country from which she came about one of the people who came here to participate in our Carnival and is now dead. Okay? Not an accident from no vehicle. No truck can bounce anybody. It's a matter of, because I think she was still in her costumes, I think that's what I heard. So you could let the imagination roll. My comment is that is rather embarrassing for us in the city. It is embarrassing for Carnival, I think. and I feel that much more advisories should go out to the public, especially people who are coming here and who don't really understand a lot of the culture. Our culture is not just plain mass. There are a lot of other subcultures that people engage in all year, and therefore they have to be wary of that and be very careful about whom they associated with, where they go, when they go, and everything.
You're watching the RBN News. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sunset Praise is here again. End your week on a high note every first Friday in every month, 7 p.m. with Pastor Courtney Francois, right here, now on Resurface TV.
Come on, everybody, clap like this. Clap like this.
Resurface Radio, the first webcasting network to redefine media in Trinidad and Tobago. Join our exceptional announcers as we enjoy uplifting gospel music, powerful sermons, the latest in news, social issues, live interviews, just great programming. Listen to www.resurfaceradio.com on your personal computers, mobile phones, and very new to Trinidad and Tobago, our very own internet radio distributed by Resurface Radio. Call us today at 221-4961 or visit our office at number 1 Dean Street, St. Augustine. Visit www.resurfaceradio.com.
We now go into our health watch for tonight and learn about the bitter gourd.
Bitter gourd health benefits -1. Bitter gourd has been associated with lowering sugar levels in people suffering from diabetes. 2. Bitter gourd is said to be helpful in fighting against cancer and a number of infections. 3. Bitter gourd has been known to provide relief from constipation and is also effective in the treatment of psoriasis. 4. Bitter gourd helps in improving circulation and in turn, generates slimming effects on the body. 5. Regular consumption of bitter gourd has been associated with prevention as well as treatment of hypertension. 6. Bitter gourd is believed to be helpful in preventing eye complications, apart from treating neuritis. It improves eyesight due to its high beta-carotene content. The juice of the leaf of bitter gourd plant has been found to be beneficial in the treatment of alcoholism. 8. The essential vitamins and minerals present in bitter gourd help in treating defective metabolism of carbohydrates. 9. The bitter tonic properties of bitter gourd have made it effective as a blood purifier. 10. Fresh juice of bitter gourd is good for patients suffering from piles. 11. It removes stomach worms and highly recommended for kids. 12. It is good for asthma patients, as it heals respiratory disorders.
Imperial Plaza, a historic shopping complex in San Fernando, was destroyed by fire on Saturday. The blaze, believed to have started in the kitchen of a food outlet, spread throughout the building, consuming 35 stores. Fire broke out inside the building at Lower High Street around 5 p.m., shortly after business owners had closed their shops. Fire officers from the Monrepo Fire Station responded to the report, but the fire officers complained that the water pressure was too low for the blaze. The officers battled with the blaze for almost 30 minutes, breaking glass windows and showcases to get the thick smoke out. It was reported that the fire started in a food outlet located downstairs the building. We go for a short break. We'll be right back with our regional news.
Reach out and touch with Laura Pascal. Treating with the issues with every interview: AIDS, rape, incest, street children, the homeless, violence in schools, and so much more. Join us now for the program Reach Out and Touch.
Francis, Bishop of Rome and Pope of the Catholic Church, and Kirill, Patriarch of Moscow and all Russia, leader of the Russian Orthodox Church, signed an agreement in Cuba on Friday after 2 hours of talks described by Francis as open and frank. Patriarch Kirill spoke about the needed cooperation between the two churches that can define the future of Christianity throughout the world. Today, both churches can work actively in defense of Christians from all over the world and work responsibly in a joint way so there would be no wars, for life to be respected everywhere, and to strengthen the basis of morality inside families and society, he said. Pope Francis stressed their common ground, saying, "We talked as brothers, we are baptized in the same faith, and we are both bishops, but acknowledged that there is still a long way ahead for them to achieve a true unity." Pope Francis thanked the teams from both churches that worked for a long time on the draft of the document. He also thanked Cuba, its people, and its president for hosting the historic meeting, and added that if Cuba keeps going this way, it will become the world capital of unity. This was the first meeting in history at the highest level of the Catholic and Russian Orthodox churches, and has brought hope to millions of Christians all over the world. Now for our international news. Mother and son pedal 1,000 kilometers for ADRA. The tandem ride across Australia raises funds for teen girls in Vanuatu. One day into their epic adventure of riding 1,000 kilometers in 10 days on a tandem bicycle, mother and son team Louise and Nat Ginn had doubts. Louise Ginn said, "After day 1, I wasn't sure if I'd actually make it. The first couple of days were quite painful, but after day 3, I was fine." The pair rode from Sydney to Mount Kosciuszko in the snowy mountains and back to Wollongong on Australia's south coast to raise 100,000 Australian dollars, which is $71,000 for Adventist Development and Relief Agency ADRA, in support of the Blossom Project, which educates teen girls in the South Pacific island nation of Vanuatu to avoid unwanted pregnancies. "As a mom, I just couldn't believe young women felt they had no other options than to abandon their children," Ginn said. "We had this idea of setting up a program ourselves, but in reality I couldn't take that on. It was a blessing that ADRA took it on. I realized my role was to raise money." Ginn said she and her 16-year-old son had only one really bad day when they encountered 35 degrees Celsius heat and strong headwinds. She said even downhill we had to pedal. We were pretty exhausted that night. As a mother, she said she felt privileged that her teenage son had wanted to take part in the ride. Nat was such an inspiration, she said. Her part of the motivation for the ride was to highlight the Blossom Project. With radio and newspaper interviews in most of the towns they stopped at, this was definitely achieved, she said. She expressed delight at how many people participated in the ride. "We had people collecting on the street, and we even went into the local pub, shaking our tin," she said. "When we got home, we had $1,500 just from the pub. It was an amazing feeling. People were so friendly." Ginn said the ride taught her that persistence pays off. We now go into our tech talk for tonight and learn about modern robots.
The obstacle course. On your marks.
Well, I got down. Now can I get up?
Get set.
The day of living like the Jetsons, mechanized made and all, gets closer all the time. Here are 10 great robots, some of which are even available to the public. Number 10. Honda's Asimo. The humanoid robot stands a bit over 4 feet and weighs in at 119 pounds. But its developers have packed a whole lot of functionality into its modest frame. Asimo can do sign language, play soccer, and even serve drinks. Number 9. Karatus. If you ever dreamed of being the pilot of a great big robot, this is your chance. Located within its 13-foot tall frame is enough room for an onboard commander. Oh, by the way, it can be controlled with an iPhone. Number 8. Atlas. Commissioned by the Pentagon and engineered by Boston Dynamics, this disaster rescue dynamo is built to perform the heroic task of saving lives without risking its own. Number 7. Termite robots. These little guys are designed to do tough, tedious building work, and their way of working was inspired by termites. The bots assess their environment, take cues from one another, and get to work even though they haven't a clue of the bigger plan. Number 6. Cheetah Cub. Wanting to know how to make robots take control of tough terrain with the grace of a feline, scientists at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology made a robotic cat. Using it, they can assess joint force and agility without having to harm an actual animal. Number 5. Wildcat. Not to be confused with the aforementioned Cheetah Cub, the Wildcat is the newest generation of Boston Dynamics Cheetah robot line. These machines are made for speed, traveling up to 29 miles per hour. While previous versions were indoor sorts, this one is suited to run free. Number 4. VGo Virtual Student. Stuck at home with a severe immune disorder, a student in Texas is now able to attend classes thanks to a robot. She can power the virtual version of herself via internet and participate in what's going on thanks to a webcam.
Miranda suffers from a weak immune system that doesn't allow her to attend class in person, but thanks to this robot pilot program, she's back in the classroom.
Number 3. RoboFly. It's tiny and fast, weighing only 80 milligrams and flapping its wings up to 120 times per second. Once technology advances and can make it a battery small enough, the robotic insect is predicted to be a helpful tool in search and rescue missions. Number 2. The Mab. It flies around your house, senses where it's dirty, and then deploys a bunch of tiny little cleaning bots to make the area sparkle. It's just a concept, but was enough of one to win the Electrolux Design Lab competition. Number 1. Curiosity. NASA's Mars rover has accomplished far more than any other robot can imagine, so to speak. It's only been on the red planet for about a year and a half, but has already determined that there could have once been life there. If you could design a robot, what would you make it do?
Thank you for watching the RBN News. Join us tomorrow evening at 6:30 for another newscast. I am Avalon Francois. From all of us here at Resurface Broadcasting Network, have a good night.